What is up, guys? So today we are going to do a Dragons B10 video. I had a request in December to kind of showcase an alternative Dragons B10 team because a lot of you guys have not had access to some of the staple monsters that people who have been playing the game for longer tend to use to run their Dragons B10 teams with, or their used to run their Dragons B10 runs. So we are going to look at some alternative teams, and and so ideally you guys will get something out of that. So just a fair warning, guys, this will be a longer video because I want to go through the basics of why certain monsters are used, because if you know why certain monsters are used, you have a better idea of what you have in your box that can be substituted for the staples. So I am going to do that in the beginning. If you just want to see the runs, then I suggest you actually watch all the runs, because that way you kind of get a feel for the failure rate. And what I'll do is I'll probably just show maybe 3 runs with the substituted team. What I'm going to focus on is the substitution for the Dark Gatito. I think he's probably the monster we will not see for the longest. So we will focus on that and show the substitution with another a dark DPS unit. Now, before we get into that, earlier this week I did post a clan recruitment video. So the clan that I'm in right now is called Titanfall, and we are recruiting new members. And we do have we are on a CST time zone. So if you're somewhere where CST time actually works for you, you don't have to actually be in a CST time zone. So I'm not actually in the CST time zone, but I'm fairly close to it, and so the time zone actually works for me. So if you are in a dead clan and you don't have a lot of participation and you want to be in a more active clan, or if your clan is not earning the Nat 5 Poseidon Soulstones and you want to be in a top 100 clan that actually earns the Poseidon Soulstones, then you might want to actually join Titanfall. So I'm sorry, guys, if this is like poaching, but I think there has to be some growth with moving around and trying to find a clan that actually fits you. Whether it has to do with time or with having an active base. But yeah. So check out that video, and I'll probably put a link in this particular video, and I'll add a link to the video probably in the description below. We have made a form which we don't require any email addresses or anything like that. The form is built through Google, and we will only use it to kind of contact you and let you know if we can accept you into our group. And that's what the form is for. So the form is there if you are not ready to drop your clan, but you want to know if you would have a spot in Titanfall if you did drop your clan. So you can fill out that form and we can kind of get in touch with you. But the only way we'll be able to get in touch with you is if you actually use Discord. So the form is dependent on you actually having Discord. So yeah, guys, just a little clan recruitment there. And we will get so before I get into the actual meat of this video, back to the clan. So you can do the form, or you can just drop your clan and request to join Titanfall. So one of those two methods will work, and the best time to actually drop a clan tends to be on Sundays, so that you get your rewards for the week first. But yeah, so back to the actual meat of this video. So the light dragon and Dragons B10 is fairly difficult for players who are trying to get into it. I do have a Dragons B10 video which I show some of my early runs when I was initially building my team, and I showed that I was actually using a number of Evo 2 monsters at the time. So to get into Dragons B10, you don't actually have to have your entire team at Evo 3, but you can use Evo 2 monsters. But you do kind of work on this idea of a success rate. And the way I look at my success rate is I look at it in kind of like a range. So where I'm at now with my Dragons B10, my range tends to hover around 0 to 1 or 0 to 2, and the 1 and 2 kind of represent the number of continuations I have to do because my team wiped. And so that's how you have to look at Dragons B10, guys. Is kind of in this kind of success rate range. And when you first start getting into it, your range is going to be higher. It might be at say something like 2 to 4, 3 to 4, 5 to 6 or something. But you don't have a whole lot of dragon sigils at the end of the week, and if you use them and you have to restart a few times, then you just have to do it to kind of get those in-game dragon gems. So yeah, guys, dragons is a grind, and there is a high bar to get into Dragons B10, but it is not impossible. So like I said, I want to talk about the team that I use and how the monsters kind of add into the success rate of the particular team. So, of course, the number one monster on my Dragons B10 team is going to be the Dark Gatito. But I will talk about his substitution last. The second kind of MVP monster on my team is going to be the Dark Victoria. And now the Dark Victoria is so important in a number of ways. She adds to your Dragons B10 team in at least 4 areas. And the first area that she adds to your team is that she actually is a 100% stunner. So the team that I use right now uses 2 CCers, and the CC, which if you don't know what that is, it's crowd control. So the CC is very important because it helps you kind of control the battle. It helps you to get more attacks in against, without actually dying, without your monsters actually dying. So it really adds control to your team. And there are a few CCs in the game. So we have Shock, which is probably the number 1 CC, if you can land it. Then we have Stun, we have Petrify, and we have Sleep. So Shock is great because it also will lower defense. Stun is good because it does nothing else. It's kind of like just a balanced, nothing else but the monster is controlled. You do have Sleep, and the problem that happens with Sleep is you can use it, but you have to make sure you don't attack the sleeping monster because you will wake it up. The problem with Petrify is that if you attack the monster after it's been petrified, you will do less damage because it raises their defense. So you can use the other ones, but you have to be mindful of those things. Shock, Stun, and I think Sleep tend to be the most used for dragons. And so, the Dark Vic is great because she does have a 100% shock. She is fairly hard to build because she is crit reliant. And that actually is one weakness to the team that I use right now, and that is every monster I have on this team is crit reliant. So what I did early on was all my best crit rate gems, and that's substats for crit rate, and a main stat crit rate, went into building this team. And so I didn't put any crit rate gems, anything else. And you have to know that, it is okay to use a broken set. So for example, if you had the green recovery set and it, had 30-40% crit, or 30-20% crit, then that's a good crit rate. That's a good, and the main stat is attack. That's not a bad gem. So you guys, you have to be okay with using broken sets if they work for you. You can use intuition, and ideally, if you can do it, you'd want to get you want to try and get up to 100% crit on ruin. But that's more of a crit rate talk or gem talk, guys. So the Dark Vic adds to the team in 4 ways. So she's a 100% stunner, and she has a death break for the dragon. The third thing she does is she is a dark monster, and she's not attacked, so she's a dark balance monster. And so being dark, she will aggro some of the attack from your glass cannon DPS, and if she takes an attack and your glass cannon does not, then that's a better chance for you to get to the dragon to kill whatever just did the attack quickly, and get to the dragon with your full 4-man team. And then she's balanced, so more than likely, if she does get hit by something that's extremely powerful like the light purse, she will actually take the damage and not die. So that's the third benefit to the Dark Vic. The fourth one is that she is an attack lead. There are not a lot of very good attack leads in the game, but Victorias are good attack leads. And while the Dark Vic, her use is pretty niche to dragons, she is, she does do a lot of things for your team. And also to go back to number 3, that she's dark. Since she's dark, she will also do more damage to the monsters that you're attacking as well. So while Dark Vic is wonderful and very nearly irreplaceable, she is irreplaceable if you think about if you're trying to cover all 4 of those bases. But if you have to kind of give up on some of those things, then you can always do something else. So when I first started Dragons B10, I think I was using a Dark Sea Star to help get the crit rate up. I was using a Sea Star lead to get the crit rate up. You can raise attack with the Jeans as well. There is the potential for the Water Jean. Now that is not ideal. She can act as a CC'er, but she's not great. The other substitutions for your CC here, and that's for both positions of CC. So we also have the Water Sura, who I use as a secondary CC'er. So as a substitution for both the Water Sura and the Dark Vic, you could actually use like a Light Sparket. He's good because he'll also have the Death Break. You could use the Light Medusa. She, has the damage on her second skill is pretty nice. And she's got a 1-turn CC. You can use the Wood Yaksha. That would be almost as close to using the Water Sura. So, there are those options, and I'm sure there might be a few others. If you use one of those monsters and you feel like they don't have a good enough leader skill for you, and you do have the Water Sura, then you can always use him as a crit rate lead to get your crit rate up. If you use a Wood Yaksha, I think she's got a crit damage lead. So if your monsters already have great crit rate, then you can still use her to increase your damage as opposed to the attack lead. So those are all possibilities, guys, to substitute for your crit rate. For your CC monsters. I do like using the Water Sura because his 5-star skill, so he's got a 2-turn stun, which I like better than the 1-turn stunners like the Light Medusa. And his second skill is I think it's Predator, and he's a single target damage dealer, which means he has a higher damage multiplier even though he's not an attack type Astromon. So he does pretty good damage I think mine is built full glass cannon. So there's all that, guys, and you can do it. You can substitute one of the monsters. The key problem is going to be the aggro. that the Dark Vic provides. If you use, say, a Wood Yaksha lead and a different dark type CC'er, I can't think of any off the top of my head, then you could potentially get around that, the aggro problem. And that's where, what you're trying to do is you're trying to increase the chances of the light monsters not attacking your glass cannon DPS, in most cases, which is the Dark Gatito, because most of the time they'll one-shot him. But yeah, so there's that. So the other monster is the Dark Thor. Some people will substitute a Dark Shelly for the Dark Thor. I think he is coming back in another rebirth, so guys, make sure you prioritize getting him. You can do that. The problem with substituting the Shelly for the Thor is also the aggro issue, and the issue of damage. So he does pretty good damage. He does more damage than the Water Shelly would, both on his first turn, both just naturally in attacking and on his second skill. But you can do it. The other problem is the aggro as well. So if you remove this dark type monster, you increase the chances of your glass cannon getting attacked. So those are the problems with using the Shelly, but you can still do it. What happens is that it probably increases your chances of having to do a continue. So yeah, and so last but not least, we'll talk about the Dark Gatito. So the Dark Gatito, he's almost irreplaceable because he does so much damage, even though he's only a Nat 4. I think there might be a Nat 5 who probably can out damage him, a few at Nat 5s that might be able to out damage him. But some of the monsters that can probably out damage him are very hard to obtain. And so what I wanted to do is kind of show, at least monsters that everyone has had the opportunity to obtain in the last few months. And the number one for that is going to be the Dark Seedler. So my Dark Seedler right now, her gem set is broken. And she's not at 100% crit, and that's just because I don't use her very much. If I was prioritizing this monster, I would prioritize getting her crit rate up. But for this particular video, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to not focus on getting her crit rate up, but I am going to put her on a ruin set. So we're going to put her on ruin, and I think it's okay to not have the Dark Seedler at 100% crit rate. Now it would be ideal to get her at 100% crit rate, but because the Dark Seedler, her first skill is Elemental Edge, I don't think it's as necessary, because Elemental Edge, she already has the Elemental Edge when hitting light monsters, and so hitting a light monster, she gains no benefit with her first skill. It's neutral. Now she still will need the crit rate on her second skill in order to get the death rate off. But guys, I think it's okay if you run the Dark Seedler without 100% crit, if you can get her crit rate fairly high, and because the first skill is not going to be skill dependent, but since she's a dark monster, you need that extra damage that comes with the dark monster critting. So you do need the crit rate, but it's not like it's okay if you undershoot it a little bit. So we're going to try out this particular team. I did use the ruin to get her damage up. and we will see how it pans out. So yeah, guys, it looks like you can at least get this over with in one turn, in a one-turn refresh, which is pretty good actually for a team that is not kind of the the standard. So yeah, Dark Seeder, guys, good substitution. And I think we will probably have the Dark Thor return pretty soon, so grab him up while you can. And I think ideally, pretty sure we will see Dark Vic roll back around. I don't know how 433 is going to present that monster, but given some of the things they've been doing lately, like what they did for the Dark Mona. But if the Dark Victoria comes back around, scoop her up. But yeah, guys, that was some ideas on how to build your team, and a substitution for the standard. And with that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, and leave me a comment. And to end this video, I will just show a few more runs, probably do 2 more runs, and so you guys can see kind of the failure rate. But like I said, guys, what you want to focus on is getting the failure rate down. The closer to 0, the better. So if your average is 1 to 2, then that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't get a lot of dragon sigils at the end of the week, so if you have to gym through it periodically, and you just have to do it to get those in-game gems. But yeah, so with that, I will see you guys next time.